Namaskaram, a very good evening to you all. Happy to meet you through the 18th episode of Interesting Temple Inscriptions that we've been seeing. We've been seeing several different inscriptions, each special in its own way. A few speaks about donations, while a few speaks about judgments done, judgments given, and a few speaks about how administrative system worked. We also saw about what happens when someone mismanages temple funds and the curses that goes on them, and several others. Today's inscription is going to be a little different from all of these. It's going to be on the power of prayer. The inscription is a small poetry, a 4-line poetry in fact, and that's etched in the temple walls of a very small village. And the prayer is very simple. We all pray to God too. I mean, we have a lot of reasons to pray. When a crisis strikes, we pray immediately and we say, help me sort this out, help me get out of this, and I'll do this to you. And we wait till it's sorted out, and then we, as promised, whatever it is, in whatever form, we repay the God. That's the kind of contract that most of us strike. But is that enough? Is that a proof for the blind faith that we should be having? Let me first discuss this, the prayer as understood from the inscription, and let's discuss this. So this is from a small temple, in fact an old temple for in a village called Chengam, which is 30 kilometers from Trivandrum Hosur route, and it's an ancient village, an extremely ancient village, and it's one of those villages that has been sung in Malaibadukadam, a part of the Sangam anthology, a complete book, a work of the 18 Sangam literature works was sung on this what seems like an insignificant little small village today, and it speaks about the greatness of the king who was ruling from there, called Nannan Sei Nannan, and the village is steeped in antiquity. There are several temples there, big and small, very old ones, and one of which is probably a Pallava period, a temple that's been in existence since Pallava period, a Shiva temple, and the deity is today called as Rishabheswara, and in inscriptions, Chola inscriptions, and up until even the later Pandya inscriptions, he is called as Idabanturai Urai Nayanar. In this temple there is a small Subramanya shrine, and so Subramanya along with Valli and Devasena, they are installed in there, and it sits under worship. There is a very interesting inscription which we are going to be seeing today, which is attributed to the installation of the deity there in that shrine. A lot of kings have installed deities, a lot of them have gifted bronze icons, and they've created charity, they've made endowments to conduct rituals, do daily abhishekams, food offerings and all that. Some are extremely elaborate in fact. I can recall the inscription of Samavai that we've seen in this series, where she speaks about the dimensions of the Murti that she had installed in Tirumala and all the jewels that she gave and all. This isn't that detailed. In fact, this does not speak about how this Subramanya was, the iconographic specifications, how tall he was, the dimensions, nothing is given. It's very simple. He has installed this Subramanya, some random official, let's keep it that way, and the inscription is more about the prayer that he had. Now that makes this icon, this specific inscription very special. In fact, the name of the official who is installed it, the person, the donor, his name is not even recorded in this prayer. We are not sure as to who is this gentleman, but his prayer and the person for whom he prayed gets prominence, and that is etched. And the best is the confidence that he had in Subramanya. Let me read the poem first. திருவளரும் புயன் தென் கண்ணை ஆட்கொண்ட நாயகனின் பொருள் வளரும் புவியில் பொலிவெய்தி பொருந்திடவே உருவளர் தோகையின் மேல் வந்து உதித்த எழுஞாயிறு போல் கருவளர் கந்தனை கற்பித்து அடியினை கண்டனனே. That's the first poem. There are in fact two poems in there. This is the first poem. So this village today is called as Chengam, and Appar, who has sung about this as a Vaiputalam, refers to it as Kannai, and the Malaipadukadam text calls it, the Sangam text calls it as Chengan Ma. So Chengan Ma, a little, the way we call the names of places, it keeps changing. So Chenganma becomes Kannai during upper Tevaram time, and that's how it's been referred to in this poetry also. So he says Tiruvalarum Puyan Ten Kannai Aatkonda Nayahan. So this Aatkondan is the name of the king. Now that's a very, very generic name, and we are not sure who is this king. But thankfully, at least the paleography or the way the inscriptions are etched, the font that they have used, the font size, all that, study of that, and so that gives us a clue as to what period this belongs to. Probably this is from the 14th century. So this inscription speaks about a certain Aatkondan. We are not sure about his official name. He is just referred to as Aatkondan. So we can be sure that he is a ruller, maybe a local ruler who is ruling under the Pandya banner, something like that. So he is there, and because of his just rule and because of him being very kind to his people and all that, and the valor that he carries himself with, so the power that he had, going by all that, it seems that the village was doing really well. It was wealthy, and people were peaceful and all that. So this official praise, and he describes the city of the village of Kannai, or the city in this case, in those days of course, calls it as he says it's a very wealthy and a peaceful, nice place. So because of the rule of Aatkondan, who is ruling from here. But now, probably going by the information that we get through the inscription, Aatkondan has fallen sick, and the prayer that this official had was to bestow him with good health, and he prays to Subramanya, the Kshatriya god. He prays to him and requests him that please ensure that my king lives healthy. But even that prayer is not a part of the original poem. He very simply says Tiruvalarum Puyan Tenkannai Aatkonda Nayahanin Porulvalarum Puviyil Poliveidi Porundidave. So let this peace and prosperity with which Kannai survives today, let that continue. Let it always be there. Uruvalar Tohayin Mel Vandudita Yelnayiru Por Karuvalar Kandanai Karpithu Adiyanai Kandanane. He says Subramanya, who is like the rising sun, who comes on this on the peacock, he comes flying. So I pray to him. I am sure that his Adiyinai or his holy feet is powerful enough to answer my prayers. Even the prayer is not mentioned here. It's a separate one-liner which comes later. It just says Periyudayar Tirumeni Kalyana Tirumeni Yaga. It's like answering a question as to, well, I understand that you have prayed to Subramanya, but what exactly is your prayer? Why are you doing this? And then the answer is Periyudayar Tirumeni Kalyana Tirumeni Yaga. I pray that my higher official or Periyudayar here, he's restored his health back and he lives happily ever after. Kalyana Tirumeni Yaga. Let him come out of all the ailments that he is suffering from and let him live long. So that's his prayer. Then there is also another poem. It says Needulahil Vaja Nirainda Tiruvirukka Nadi Nedi Eidi Nalan Tihaja Koduvalar Kannanur Aatkondan Kandanai Karpithan Annal Siruvelan Arindu. So probably this gentleman's name is Siruvelan. He says the greatness of Subramanya and the power with which he can perform miracles were taught to me by my higher official Aatkondan. So I pray to him, and I am sure that the city of Kannai will be bestowed with longevity. The city as such will be bestowed with longevity. Needulagil Vaja Nirainda Tiruvirukka Nadi Nidhi Eidi Nalam Tihaja. So let all this prosperity and longevity and hail and healthy nature and all this for the entire city of Kannai, let it be there for long. Koduvalar Kannanur Aatkondan Kandanai Karpithan Annal Siruvelan Arindu. For me to understand, this higher official of mine had taught me the greatness of Subramanya, so I prayed to him. Now let's understand this inscription. This is not his paying back to God. He does not say, now that my prayers are answered, I am installing this icon. No, that's not the case. Because in several inscriptions we see after a war, after a king emerges victorious after a war, he says like, because you helped me in the war, I offer all this to you. So there are several inscriptions which speaks about donations made as a result of winning in a war. But here his prayers are still there. It's not yet answered, but he is sure that by installing the Murti of Subramanya and praying to him, his prayers will be answered. Now he is not waiting for his prayers to be answered and then paying back, or that's not his case at all. He's been very particular. He is confident that Subramanya will help him come what may, That's what the king has taught me, that's what my leader has taught me, and now that he is unhealthy, I prayed on his behalf, please help me here. And the confidence with which he says, I'm sure my prayers will be answered and my king, my ruler will be blessed with longevity and health and all that, and as a result of which my city will also prosper. To me personally, this is how the faith should be there, and I'm sure a faith like this will always be answered. A prayer which emerges out of faith like this will certainly be answered. If at all there is a need for this inscription, the king etched it because there is no historic information that we accurately get through this inscription, but importance of faith and what is the kind of relationship that you strike with your God. That's something that I personally have better understood through this inscription. Well, that's for today, and tomorrow I'll meet you again with another interesting inscription. Thank you.